Yeah, George Foreman, I really don't care. I was never into boxing like my dad was. I'm not online to garner empathy from anyone who didn't give a in the first place. Now you want to care, but you didn't care then. I don't care about your empathy.
How's it going, everyone? Nearly 1 month ago, one of the most tragic events in Lolcow history occurred that shocked the entire community. Donald Slydell Jr. and the rest of his family became victims to the ever-growing criminal world of Albuquerque, New Mexico. While sleeping in their car, an armed man approached the sleeping Slydell family and committed an action that ruined multiple families' lives, including the infamous internet figure Tophiachu. After such a life-changing event that affected Tophiachu dramatically, many people who watched her livestream crash outs or just genuinely curious about her life were wondering how she would take this, splitting the community basically in half, with some claiming that Tophiachu would be a broken shell of herself, citing how important family was to the Slydells, even if the relationship seemed flawed to onlookers. While the other half insisted that this wouldn't change her and only make her far worse, reminding others of comments she made about others' loved ones not even a week prior to the Slydell tragedy. So let's begin around a few days after the Slydell tragedy occurred.
Help you bring money together, but everyone's helping to put money together. And as you know, there's so much expenses. We're gonna have help with my mom's medical bills, and some of the funeral expenses. But it's so much more. It's rebuilding, possibly getting a car, learning to drive, so I can take my mom. I don't even know how to navigate anymore. Thank you. And I know I was advised not to post on social media, but I needed to update y'all. I don't know how to do things without not posting on social media, like the financial stuff. I wish we would have got help sooner. For people to say that I'm taking people's money, it literally notifies people on Cash App when it fails to go through. So for me saying, if it fails to go through, send it to my PayPal, they've already gotten their money back because, it fails to go through. First of all, you said no handouts, I'm asking for money. First of all, Aunt Karen suggested to ask me to let people know if they wanted to give me Cash Apps. I never asked or wanted to ask for help. Second of all, you made this video over 1 minute, which suggests to me, because you have 60,000 followers, you need 10,000 followers to be in the Creator Fund. You are profiting off of my situation when we have been asking help for months, and it didn't have to be money. You're talking about shelters. We went to the West Side shelter. You want to know what happened the first day we went? Hours to get a bed. A lady got in the face. And the police suggested not to go to the West Side shelter because it's very, very, very unsafe. I'm supposed to be taking a break, but you made this video over 1 minute to profit off of my situation. I am so sick and tired of people coming on the internet saying, well, if she just had a job. You called my brother's job and told his job he was a health hazard. What kind of people are you to tell me to get a job if I would have been fired? What does me having a house or me having a job have to do with violence? Because some guy couldn't steal my brother's car that wasn't his. What kind of a justice is it for people to say, well, you shouldn't have been talking about people's relatives? If we're real, let's really get into it. You enable World of T-shirts to become an alcoholic. You enable Daniel Larson to be homeless and go out and get himself in trouble to almost the point where he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. You want to sit here and absolve yourself and not take accountability is for sitting here saying, she was a bad person, but I feel sorry for her. That is not empathy. Spare me your empathy. If you were empathetic, you would not have to bring up I was a bad person. You would say, I'm sorry. This isn't right. Not, oh, she was a bad person. She was a bad person, but no, you're not empathetic. You guys need help badly before you cause someone else to be in a situation like this.
After the tragedy first took place and Tophiachu went back to live streaming, some say that it was far too soon, but as we know, Tophiachu, as much as it brought her anger and frustration, the internet is one of the few places she could return to have her voice heard. So it only makes sense for Tophiachu that she was going live, and in these live streams you could hear that Tophiachu actually understood, or at least seemed to have an understanding, that life was going to be very difficult now with all of the responsibility she had. Donald Slydell Jr. basically had the brunt of the family on his shoulders, and now it was shifting to Tophia's. But being 30 years old and having to learn to drive, find a job, and some place for her and her mother to sleep every night, this would be the biggest challenge she ever faced, and people knew this. Tophiachu needed to act now rather than later, but people were hopeful once her mourning was over she would kick into gear, and around this time a shocking development was happening, at least to Tophiachu. People who mainly watched Tophia for her crash outs began to show her sympathy, donating tons of money to Donald Slydell Jr.'s GoFundMe, well exceeding the initial goal, and Tophiachu herself was receiving so many cash apps that she was hitting the daily allowed limit. But the critics of Tophiachu were starting to feel more justified, as barely a few days after the tragic event, Tophiachu was beginning to sound like her old self again. When discussing herself getting a job, making it sound like she still might not try to find employment, which obviously worried some, but others still had faith that Tophiachu would make the right decisions.
I'm by myself and I'm scared. And don't worry, I'm in a safe place now, but I'm scared. Every time I go out, I have to watch my back. Every time someone, when I'm going in elevators and someone is in a hurry or rushes in the elevator, I'm scared. Always. I've got my mom's back. I'm gonna take care of my mom. I'm gonna step up because people don't believe I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna step up. For that lady to have the nerve to say I'm supposed to go get a job I'm supposed to go immediately back into a job, you are insane. Get docs and then they would harass us out of the place. The last job my brother had was Jimmy John's. Y'all tried to call his job at Jimmy John's and tell Jimmy John's that my brother was a health hazard, so he would lose his job. You talk about get a job, get a place, we do that, and then you guys cause us to get kicked out of places. Let's be for real. The literal fact that you're saying, oh, wow, she's not attacking you, you didn't think about taking care of your mom. If my mom goes to a nursing home, if I put her in a nursing home, and I go and live my life, she's not going to have the will to live. She's scared. She really wants me to be with her. We're going to get a place together. She's worried because she's like, are they going to get us a place together? And I said, yeah. I don't know why people that are not in this situation are trying to tell me what to do. Tell you guys nothing because it's still an active investigation. But y'all are trying to assume something when there's no information. Until the full facts are out and until it's not an active investigation, we won't know. And I'm so sick and tired of people beating me down and trying to say, well, maybe they were set up because she got unscathed. If I had stayed in that car and not jumped out, I could have been injured worse. Then I would be in the hospital, laying in a hospital bed, not visiting my mom, not being able to help take care of her if she got out of the hospital. I don't even know if it was targeted from online either. I can't rule that out. But again, it's an active investigation. I can't say too much. So for y'all to sit here and literally justify, it's so crazy.
Now that Tophiachu was all alone with Mary in the hospital, and her being able to visit for long periods of time due to the care that Mary needed and the fact that Marie shared a room with another person, Tophiachu would be left alone for long periods of time in one of Albuquerque's local women's shelters, this being the only time in Tophiachu's life that she's ever been left by herself, confused and bewildered as she tried to find some sort of normalcy and adjust, but it just wasn't happening at the time. Her only real goal was to spend as much time with Marie as possible, but all was not lost, because fortunately Marie's injuries severe as they were becoming stable, and for those who don't know, Marie was struck in the nose and the projectile exited what is believed to be below her ear, in the neck area. Something Tophiachu disputes, but it seems she just doesn't understand below the ear is still the neck. And while Marie was in the hospital room during the first couple of days after the tragedy, it's easy to see that Marie was probably affected the most, losing a son, being injured, and not knowing what was going to happen after she recovered. Knowing that now it was just her and Tophiachu, life was going to be rough, even more so if she ended up in a nursing home without her family. They care about each other a lot, and I don't know if Marie could take that. But fortunately for the both of them, it looked like the VA or some other program in New Mexico was going to house them, or at least that's what Tophiachu was saying. And this was something she would mention before the tragedy, so many were still unsure if this was true. But what confused people, even the most sympathetic of Tophiachu, was her continuing to say the internet possibly targeted her days after the event. Now, it's very likely an attempt to not think about the situation. Tophia avoided reading articles, and being known as a lolcow, she may have believed the comments were messing with her. But the man who carjacked and committed the atrocity to the Slydells was a lifelong criminal on the run from the law at the time. The chances of him having any knowledge of who the Slydells were are extremely slim to absolutely none. It's just an unfortunate event all around.
My issue in blaming people, not with this, what led up to the situation, is the harassment, the stalking. Type in my username on TikTok and you'll see a video of a picture of me sitting at the library with my back turned because someone took a picture of me. Going to the library taking pictures of me. Screaming my name when I was in my brother's car one time. And then say, well, you know what, we're not the problem, you are. What? You called my brother's job and said he was a health hazard so he would get fired and wouldn't have no money to help us because you wanted to keep me homeless. It didn't work because his job was willing to work with him. Then, one time I was live and the DoorDash thing went off and I said, oh, I thought people was going to try to... I thought people... was going to try to DoorDash stuff and pull pranks and try to find my brother's DoorDash name in hopes that they got him as a dasher, and then start leaving negative reviews and causing us not to be able to dash. That's why sometimes I couldn't go live all the time. We were dashing at night sometimes. Now that I have all of this help, I'm going to push forward with legal action towards every single person who thought it was okay to dox me. I have proof that there was people doxing me in a Facebook group with 2,000 people. Not 2,000 people, 20,000 people. 20,000 people were given the address where I was sleeping at by the park. And you guys want to say if I had just done what? So you could have harassed me more? So you could have sat here and said, well, you got evicted because of you, not because of us. I could pull up all the fake reviews you have left at my last place. You want me to pull up the reviews for my old apartment? I could do that too. I could pull up the reviews from a Motel 6 that I was not living at that you thought I was living at. Yes, I am going to blame the internet. You guys said, well, if you would have just got a place, okay. So I could have took my money, the $3,000 I made, rented a place, and I would 100% bet you someone would have doxed me. We would have been back in a situation where they're like, well, we got to ask you to leave. We would have been living out of our car and back on the streets. How many times do I have to go through a situation where I'm being put on the streets because of the internet and they want to say it's my fault? Like I'm the one that's leaving reviews. Like I'm the one that's doing this stuff. Like I'm the one that has a Reddit stalking me. I feel bad because I'm like, why am I happy? Why am I this happy? I shouldn't be, Someone told me to take those moments of joy. Especially when my mom's sitting in the hospital. I'm supposed to think about going to work when my mom was at as well. My mom could have instantly too. You do not think about these things, right? And because you're so mad that I could get way more help than what I was getting before, it bothers you. Leave me alone. Enough is enough. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, okay? Thank you. Whose name is on this page? It doesn't have your name. It doesn't have anybody else's name. It has mine. So if I'm going to post something, I'm going to post something. If I'm going to say something, I'm going to say something. Whatever I choose to do is not your decision. I'm not online to garner empathy from anyone who didn't give a F in the first place. Now you want to care, but you didn't care then. I don't care about your empathy.
It had almost been a week now since the tragedy, and Tophiachu was starting to seem like her old self again, yelling at her trolls about making her and her family homeless. But there was something different. Tophiachu had confidence about the situation because the donations she was receiving were piling up, and she was also bringing up old beefs with an enemy many of her viewers thought she'd never talk about again, especially since most of them believed this was time to move forward in her life instead of backtracking onto old problems. But Tophiachu decided to threaten to sue Squidchu, but this will be far more important later in the video and a potential cause of what Squid said, so stay tuned for that. This also showed that around this time, Tophiachu was spending a good portion of her day that wasn't with Marie or on livestream viewing people's negative videos about the situation, and yes, those videos are in poor taste, but it's easy to see that Tophiachu shouldn't have been viewing that content at all. It was going to cause more problems for her and could potentially be why she began to fall back into her old habits. The most frustrating to the viewers was when Tophiachu began to rant in the hospital while Marie and her roommate were obviously resting.
So if the Reddit is going to be mentioned to detectives, they're going to look into your Reddit. Like, you shouldn't be sharing information in the first place. Like, you guys are not thinking smartly because something's going to happen. And the information you're sharing, you're not supposed to be sharing. So please, like, and then to literally talk about the video I made promoting a hoodie. Did you not listen what I said in the video? Did you not read the caption? Because it's crazy. Use your common sense. Some of you guys literally just are still trying to find some way to bash me. To blame us for crime in your area. Crime is everywhere. Whether homeless people left your area or not, you still would have crime. It all starts with not letting criminals who have repeat crimes get out, especially criminals who repeat criminal activity. Why are you letting these people back onto the streets? It makes no sense. If he had a bunch of prior convictions or whatever he had, that's bad. Especially in Albuquerque, my mom showed my brother and uncle where Hondas were high for carjackings. Let's be for real. After this incident, what has this got to do with homeless people? Is that going to fix the crime that is happening in your public parks? No, it's not. Let's be for real. It would have been more dangerous if kids were at the park and that guy was there early during the day when kids were there. He wasn't homeless. He was a repeat offender. Obviously, if he ditched his SUV, I don't know if he stole the SUV, but they said he ditched his SUV, so that must mean he has a car. Let's be for real. Crime happens everywhere. For you to blame people for being at a public park is crazy. She's attacking the people that live there. Let's be for real. The Reddit shares every freaking thing. And yes, I did comment on DDE's post. Why are you stalking who I comment on? I didn't tell anybody I commented on Daily Driven Exotics post. So why are you stalking me? And yet you claim that you're sharing information that people need to know, but yet you're stalking me. It's crazy. Like, I can't even get an ounce of rest without people literally posting something. You want to know what happened? Someone took a video and said, oh, I'm going to report them to my dad. He's the manager here. I'm going to get him kicked out. They were fine with it until they wasn't, and we ended up getting kicked out. Why? Because someone took a video of us. Let's not lie. You looked at the background of my walls and tried to find where I was living. You guys literally are horrible human beings. Now all of a sudden you want to feel sorry for people. World of T-shirts has cirrhosis of the liver because he's been drinking himself. All those people that claim to be his friends, you're pieces of POSs because you're hanging around him for clout. You're not getting him help. You're letting him drink himself away, drink his life away. Now he has of the liver and everyone wants to care. Where was this caring when you were literally beating down on him and Daniel Larson? Let's get into it. And I can't mentally process any of it. The cops constantly called. Men from dating apps showing up to my door. Struggling to keep a place. Why do you think when I went live that one time and said, I won't be able to go live when my brother gets a place because he doesn't want people to know where we live? Basically, literally, that's what I said. Like, my brother told me I can go live because people will find out where we live and get us evicted. You did it to helping the trolls and doing what you did by making that video, letting everybody know we were out in the streets, sleeping out of our car. You put us in that unsafe situation because I wasn't going to tell anyone because my situation was already unsafe to begin with. You put us in that unsafe situation.
You were in my tummy.
Like, she didn't have to make that video. And it's not fair that people get to keep their jobs for breaking the job's rules because I don't think that should be allowed. They had to tell us we had to hurry up and get out so you can post that we left our room dirty because we didn't have time to clean our room because my brother did not want to deal with the other maid too. There was another maid that was causing problems with us. And he said, if she starts anything with me, I'm going to say anything. You stay here, I'll handle the room. The only stuff he left was the garbage. Ample proof that you were everywhere. Even there's photos of me at the park saying Tophiachu spotted. Let's not lie. I know there's more than one Reddit, but y'all are the same. I got proof from either. So let's go. This is one fight that you're not going to win. This is one instance you're not going to escape.
After many nights of wondering where the Tophiachu saga would go, with many unsure if she'd return to her old ways, it was becoming more apparent that Tophiachu would react to any negativity thrown her way. This was made evidently clear when she would argue with her fans about the timing of her promoting a hoodie. Even though anyone could tell, these were people just messing with her. At that time, bringing in income would be really important to her, since these hefty Cash App donations aren't going to last forever. But also around this time, it seems that Tophiachu actually looked into the case more and discovered the actual person behind the crime, acknowledging he had a long criminal activity. But this fact didn't make Tophiachu ease up on her detractors, still calling them out for feeling sympathy for her far too late. And to say this and the Marie Hospital rants didn't cause many people's feelings to shift on Tophia again would be an understatement. Overall confusing, since a majority of the recent donations coming in were from people who were detractors of Tophiachu, calling them out and saying she didn't appreciate what they were giving them at the time certainly didn't help her either.
Some of the information they're given is not correct information. Not only is it not correct information, but they left me out of the whole incident. Like, they literally only mentioned my brother and my mom. Like, if I didn't jump out of the car and call 911. And I'm not saying that I should get mentioned in an article, but when articles, especially like the Albuquerque Journal, I've always thought of it as like, you know, something where people write, they get information, and they fact check that, right? Shouldn't you fact check this stuff? Because the maid told us that they were not going to evict us because of the internet, but then that's kind of what they did. I'm going to share the reviews from my place. Like, I'm not going back and forth with y'all. That's what they said, but I don't think so. It contributed to people on the internet, because why did the maid go to the internet and tell people I was evicted? Use your common sense. If it wasn't because of the internet, then why did she go online and say something about me, knowing that she knew that I was popular on the internet? Like, let's not lie. Hello? The place where I was at literally said that people was calling them, telling them that we were selling furniture. I said, they're going to call and harass you because my brother's ex leaked where we lived. About your bad, botched, built lips, okay? Go back to the surgeon who did your lips and have them fixed properly before you want to sit here and talk about, oh, you're just blaming brands for not being able to fit in their clothes down. Like Forever 21 got shut down for not including plus size exclusive brands and clothes for plus size people that aren't ugly as hell, like Samira says. If you want plus size clothes to sell, why do you keep making them ugly as hell? Okay? So maybe suffer like Forever 21 did. Okay? Okay. Have a good one. I am so beyond infuriated. I'm so mad. I'm so angry at the fact that people want to sit here and act like, oh, we didn't do any of that. We didn't cause any of that. You literally, and there's a furniture review. There's a review where someone said that they got into it with a curly-haired big girl. Oh, yeah. Fat phobia in the comments. Oh, in the reviews. Sorry. You were being fat phobic to me in the reviews, saying that you got into an altercation with a big curly-haired girl over a piece of furniture. You saw someone was selling your girlfriend's furniture. Let's not lie. Oh, I got into it with you over a piece of furniture I was selling that was your girlfriend's? I don't even sell furniture. Where would I get the furniture from in the first place? You know, and I forget to unfollow people sometimes because you literally just defended Elon. Yeah, sorry. I can't. And especially because you defended Diddy and literally said, praying for him. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
And then Tophiachu found herself in her biggest controversy since the tragedy. It had been a while since Tophiachu came on the stream where she sounded obviously upset, but people were willing to let that slide. We all deal with our problems how we do. But during one of her live streams, Tophiachu sounded angry that her name wasn't mentioned in the article, only referring to her as the sister. This rubbed people the wrong way, thinking that Tophiachu was upset that she didn't get any attention. And she never really explained herself, only saying she thought the news outlet was accurate, and by all accounts of the event, it seems to give all the necessary details besides mentioning Tophiachu by name, and it's entirely possible the news were aware of Tophiachu's notoriety and chose to admit those details out of respect for her. But the journalist wasn't the only people to catch ire from Tophiachu. It seemed about any content creator who even had a slightly critical opinion of Tophiachu during this time would hear about it on her next live stream, to the point that's basically what she went live to do, yell at her detractors, and from this point on, objectively, Tophiachu's live streams are back to how they were a month ago. But if there was one solace, it was the fact that Marie was stable and just needed a long stay in the hospital. Life would no longer be normal, but she was going to recover.
TikTok stuff be weird. You be hopping on bandwagons. You hate people when everyone hates a person. You like people when everyone starts liking a person. This app is so weird. Like, it's not even based off of receipts anymore. Oh, and then the fact that George Foreman was a Trump supporter is... Yeah. The fact that you called Colin Kaepernick and Kevin Durant unpatriotic. Because you remember, we all remember Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Saying, don't worry about the audience or whatever to Donald Trump. Yeah, George Foreman, I really don't care. Unfollowing and a few likes, you're getting blocked because I'm not going back and forth with you. You're literally in my comment section saying she was making thousands of dollars but living out of a car. Yes, I did make thousands of dollars. I made a lot in January. Let's really talk about it, okay? So we were looking at RVs, but RVs became too expensive. So I said, you know what? With the money that I make online plus the money that I have saved, I could save up and get us an RV. That's what I was initially working on. The reason being I didn't say I was working on getting an RV is because I knew people would try to look out, try to find the car, try to see where our RV was parked, and try to harass us. Now, that is one of the things that I was working on. I can finally say that now because we're not working on that anymore, obviously. But yes, I was working on saving to get an RV. I heard that Astrevino got IP banned, that she can't go live on TikTok, that she's banned completely and can never go live again. I guess because apparently she showed her hoo-ha on live stream and just flashed everyone, and her whole life got taken on. She cannot go live. She tried to go live on Favorite, and it was so bad that someone talked her through using a VPN or whatever it was to be able to go back live on TikTok. So now she found a way to get back on live streams, even though she's IP banned from TikTok from going live. I'm just gonna wait on these ribs. Finger licking. I want barbecue ribs, okay? I had practically almost everything. I was like, Burger King, I didn't really want a Big Mac from McDonald's. And, you know, I had like Taco Bell and fried chicken and Long John Silver's, the chicken plain. So I was like, it's about time I have some barbecue ribs. We gon' finger licking up this food. You know, finger licking good. Chomp on some ribs and relax. My father, you know, it's always a sob story. That's what gets people to watch. Haven't you noticed that all of these music shows, like, especially The Voice, they don't have horrible singers anymore. They switched from the horrible singer bit to the sad bit. And then the judges are always like, whoa, it's pretty bold of you to do a original song. And they were like, well, go ahead. It better be, you know, like, go ahead. Let's hear what you got. Why'd you leave me, Dad? Or so, you know, like a country song, like, like, if I could think of a country song, like, you know, what is it? I appreciate the support, and I'm so thankful for those of you who have donated, supported, reached out, asked me if I'm okay. Sorry I haven't responded, hidden requested messages. There's a lot of negative messages, so I don't really look at that. So I'm sorry that you're concerned for my mother and not the person that I was talking to. Don't take it that way. Other people have been talking to me as if they don't believe I could take care of my mother. Stop. I'm so pissed off by that. Enough. Actually, like, I'm going to continue from that because I said it was the last thing I was going to say, but then I thought about it because I'm so sick and tired, and this is not the person I was talking to because I know they were genuinely worried. There's been other people that it's like, she needs to go to a home because I don't think she could take care of her. I am so, when we get a place and I continue to keep the place and I'm paying for the place and I'm feeding us and we're cooking and we're living a good life, you're going to see I'm so sick and tired of people treating me as if I can't take care of my mother. So any information, including donation money, I cannot be explaining to anyone exactly. I have not been improperly spending anything. It's none of anyone's business what I'm doing with any money. At this point in time, it's still an active investigation. So until we know why this guy did what he did, I got to keep myself safe.
I don't know. Something doesn't feel right. And y'all can me all you fucking want to. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care if I'm right. I'm just saying. It feels weird. It feels suspicious. It feels like she's making this up as she goes along.
And then, in possibly her most baffling move, Tophiachu went to TikTok to say because of George Foreman's politics, she can't understand why people feel sorry for him, not understanding how hypocritical it was for her to be making such a statement because many people could view her situation in a similar light, as many people donating to Tophiachu at the time probably disagreed with her on far more subjects than just politics. And also, you can tell just from the content in Tophia's live streams that because of George Foreman's comments, the normal trolling was beginning again. Basically, all the good faith Tophiachu had built up was gone. Tophia was even laughing about Astravino getting banned from TikTok, excited that she was on TikTok still and Ashley was gone. And it was only going to get worse when the public would discover what else was happening when the cameras were off. It turns out with donations, Tophiachu was ordering DoorDash up to 3 times a day. Now, seeing the situation she's in, DoorDashing might seem like a decent option, especially since Tophiachu was terrified of being in public alone. But 3 times a day seemed excessive enough that some of the people would begin to think that Tophia was taking advantage of the situation she found herself in. No matter how right or wrong they are, it is Tophia's money that was donated to her, and Tophia has never had the best track record of spending money. So it's not much of a surprise this is happening, but we can at least hope that everything is covered for Donald Slydell Jr.'s funeral, and when Marie gets out of the hospital, there's a place they can go. We can at least hope that. And as I mentioned around the beginning of the video, we would hear more about the Squid Chew situation. Squidchu ends up making a return that nobody asked for. Squid decided to make a video claiming that she believes Tophia is the person to blame for all of the tragic events. And as idiotic as that is all around, Squid has decided to double down on these claims, becoming the biggest clown in the entire Tophia-verse, somehow showing less respect and mental capacity than Nova Online. But guys, that'll be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, comment, subscribe, follow the socials down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.